The one thing that's cool is you'll be able to ask him questions as well. So if you have any, go for it. Fire them away. I'll call on you. Oh, this is a good way to start. So okay, first I guess I'll introduce Katsuya Terada from Tokyo. He's here. I'm translating a great artist, Yoskay Yamamoto, an amazing artist. I'm NAKAMURA from Giant Robot, and I'm just going to moderate and help you guys out. You want to clap? Oh yeah! Yeah, I appreciate you guys for coming. Hopefully you can chill out here for a little while and get to watch what I would call a manga legend, master artist. He says not manga legend, but he's a legend. So we're going to watch it in a different way. Right? This is great.
Yeah.
So we're going to... Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For now.
Yeah, cool. Great. Awesome. Hey, Comic-Con staff right here figured out a way.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's been 4 years since I came back, so it's really nice to be here. So thank you for coming. So I'm going to start right now. And questions are welcome.
Yeah, he prefers questions, or he kind of gets quiet. He gets a little nervous. So you don't want him to be nervous. All right, question in the blue.
Do you already have an idea of what you're making, or do you start with a framework and just start adding pieces to it?
もう何を始めているのか、前から分かってるんですが、そこに増えるみたいなのを最初に出せたら、
なんとなくは決めてて、今日は、いつも書いてる、時間がそんなないので、いつも書いてる、女の子が何かを買うんで、今がいるみたいな、そういう感じをパスと考えてます。
For today, since I don't have a lot of time to do a complex image, I'm going back to something a little bit more familiar. So this time it's going to be a girl with some kind of an animal or creature from the bust and up. So in this instance, I cannot experiment and try to draw something brand new. So it's always nice to go back to my library and visual images and just pull something from there.
Ask if you usually do this.
Oh. Yes.
Based off of that comment, how long does it take for him to develop something new? Like, what is that process from that imagination to getting it complete?
Okay, so the question was, so if he's going back to what he's familiar, what about in the instance of creating something new? How long that process would take? Is that okay?
今回は今までに入ったようなものを今までに直そうとしているんですけど、今度はもしかして初めて最初から自分が今まで書いてない新しいイメージを書こうと思ったときはどのくらいの時間をかけて作るんですか？
Good question. Maybe, 8 hours?
So something brand new, good question, something brand new, maybe somewhere around 8 hours for me to take and develop a new image.
毎回自分を飽きさせないためにも構図を変えたり、文字を変えたりするんだけど、やっぱりそのためにはある程度の時間が頭の中で整理する時間が必要なので、だからすごい入り組んだコンポジションの時は書く時間と見る時間がすごく近づいている。だから4時間見て4時間書くみたいなそんな感じになるので、そうするともうライブの面というよりは仕事場にみんなに来てもらうみたいな感じじゃない。ライブだからなりますね。
Okay, so for me, if I wanted to try to draw some new images, new visual motif, or images with like composition that's a little bit more complex, usually he also has to, I have to sketch in my head before I attack a brand new image. So a lot of the times, like I spend a lot of time sketching in my head. So there'll be instances where I'll maybe sketch for 4 hours, but another 4 hours I will spend just looking at the image and trying to figure out where this image is taking me or how to complete it in the process. So if I were to do that with like a live drawing, it'll be a little bit less exciting. So it'll be like you guys coming to see me working in my office and working in my studio.
When you're writing the story, how much of it is you create art for the story, and how much is you create story for the art?
Okay, so the question was when he's creating a story, how much comes from the visual or story, vice versa, right?
じゃあ物語を作っているときは物語からイメージが来るのか、それともイメージから物語が出来上がっていくものなんですか？
それは漫画の場合は両方ですね。もう話が大きな話が漫画の場合は作っておかなければいけないので、まず作って、その僕がやりたいないときはとにかくどこかのシーンを書いて、あるいは中にいるキャラクターをこれは多分多くの漫画が同じようなことしてると思うんですけど、キャラクターをとにかく書いて彼が何をするのかとか、彼が彼女が何をするのか、どう動くのかみたいなものを確認していくと、だんだんそのキャラクターのストーリーを分裂するというか、どういう背景にキャラクターがいればいいかが自分でやっと分かってくる時間がいるからなので、そういう作り方をすることもあるし、短編、例えば短い漫画を描くときは、もうストーリーを頭から最後まで考えて、書き始めて、一コマずつ書いて終わらせることがあります。
Okay, so it's different in each story I wanted to tell. But for manga stories, I usually do both. So sometimes it's the image that drives the story, but there are other times the story will drive the like what the character is going to do. Like it's always good to have an overall story for the manga when I'm beginning. But when I have like a writer's block, I usually draw characters in many different situations, different backgrounds, and maybe the character, they can tell me where the story needs to go. So there are instances for a long, storytelling. I work in that process. But if it's for a short story, I usually have the overall story I want to tell. So in that case, it's usually characters matching what the story needs to be told. But yeah, so that's the process.
If I can add also, his one page, he did like 1 page short manga, it's like 4 to 6 panels. And some of those were very interesting because you could read them in different ways. And I just wanted to add that he also does that too on a really short and quick comic. They're always really weird.
Tagging off from that, does he think that he'll do any manga in the future? Like, all of his projects are very intentional. Does he plan to return to sequential art anytime soon?
Oh, so can you repeat the last one?
Does he plan to do any sequential art or manga style projects in the future?
Oh, okay. So the question was if he's planning to create any new manga
Yeah, any new
stories?
sequential, like any manga style.
Like, okay.
So 寺田さんは今寺田さんの中で新しく伝えたい漫画の物語みたいなのはあるんでしょうか？ずっと今まではなんかそのシーン的なものを書いていくのを見てるんですけど、なんか続けて物語になっていくものは寺田さんの中にはありますか？予定があるか？
いや、予定はありますけど、それはやっぱり依頼が来て初めて始まるので、意外と依頼が来ないときは何もやらないタイプなんで、話は考えてない。ただ、書いていると必ずその一本あっ けなかったストーリーとか、あとその思ったのと違う方向に行ってしまうコンセプトみたいなのがあって、そうすると1個書けば1本漫画を書くと、その覚えてしまったものが次の漫画につながっていくんで、1個書くと例えば最低でも3つぐらいは出るわけですから、印象なのです。だからその書けば書くほど、例えばすごく人気がある作家がすごく多作なのか、書けば書くほど書けなかったことが見えてくるので、それが次の作品に原動力になっていくので、とにかくそのなんか書けないなって時はもう無理やり一本書いていくみたいなものが僕最初の頃は必要かなと思ってて、ただそのなんか普段はそれほど次の漫画を考えてるわけじゃない。
Okay, for me, I usually don't start any new stories unless there's like a client-based offer. So in those times, like I don't usually make a story, but it's always the case when I'm writing. Maybe I'll make a one story, but the story maybe doesn't take to. Story doesn't go down the path that I wanted to take, or while I'm making a story, I'll come up with a couple of different new ideas. So usually, by the time I'm finished with one story, I'll have like 3 different themes in my mind that I want to explore more, or I want to dig in to see what else is under there. So that's part of the reason why like it's such a popular like a manga artist. They can always come up with like new ideas and new stories because they're constantly making up a story, which helps to create different scenes for different stories. So that's why always they're like constantly evolving and making new stories. But for me, like unless there's like client offers, I usually don't really come up with anything. But as for a beginner, if you guys are out there trying to make a manga story, it's always good to just push through and make one, because that one story is going to lead you to maybe 3 different new ideas that's somewhere in your head. Thank you. Thank you very much. Finding out it's better for me to just try to memorize and writing, because when I'm writing to
basically said I'll translate for you. Basically, when he writes it, he kind of cuts off the listening. So.
Yeah, I thought it would be better if I write it down, but when I'm writing it down, I'm not listening to him, so I'm kind of struggling between staying still, but I'm trying my best. Okay. Yes?
Does he have a particular character that's his favorite to draw? And if so, why that particular character?
Okay, so the question was if he has a particular character that he likes to draw, and if that's the case, why?
寺田さん大好きな好きなことがすごく好きじゃあ書くことがすごく好きなキャラクターってありますか？もしそのキャラクターがあるとしたら、なんでそこまで好きなんでしょうか？
いやそうですね、なんだろう、でも好きっていうのにあまり言いようがないので、例えばちょっと急にすぐこうやっておじいちゃんを描いちゃう、だからこれはもうなんか書いてるとめちゃめちゃ感が当たるし、あとその自分が一番こう書くモードに入っている、だからもうそこには理由がなくて書いてると気持ちがいいからっていうのがもう最初に理由があるんですね。
So instead of like me drawing something I like, I tend to go to characters I feel comfortable drawing. So when I'm like naturally sitting down in front of a piece of paper, there are many times that I'm just drawing old men, like Fuji-chan, because that's what I like to draw. But that comes more from the comfort of me drawing. Which also kind of builds up this momentum for me to keep on and create something else as drawing an old man as my starting point.
そういうところとかも違うので。
But I think it's different for everybody. So maybe everybody has their comfort, character to draw. But for me, for some reason, it's an old man. Yes.
You and Yosuke get along so well. Have you ever considered collaborating
Oh
on a
no,
work?
I'll be so intimidated. I don't think it's
僕と寺田さんはよく仲良さそうに話してますけど、コラボレーションとか考えたことはあります。Oh my god. How do I translate this?
Okay, let's do it
Let's do it.
sometime. But this isn't me saying it, this is him saying it. It's weird for me to say it. But thank you. I'll practice very, a lot till then. Oh.
Kind of a two-part question, but how did you develop the style and what influenced?
Okay, so the question was how did he develop his style and who was his influence? Yeah.
寺田さんの今のスタイルっていうのはどのように構築されていたんでしょうか。でそれともしその中で影響された方が出たらシェアできますか。
はい。もうこれはもうずっと言ってるんですけど、結局俺が15歳の時に初めてフランスの漫画家のメビウスに絵に出会ったんですけど、それを見た時にも自分の描き方みたいなものが根底から変わっちゃって、だから自分がそれまでなんかいろいろやっぱり悩んでいた、自分の絵は何だろうとか、どう描けばいいんだろう、どう描けばうまく描けるんだろうみたいなことで悩んでたところが、メビウスの絵が俺が考える漫画とイラストレーションとか、そういうアートとか全部まとめた線だったような気がして、なのでもうこれはもう真似でもいいから、これはメビウスの線をちょっと解釈しようみたいな感じで、そこからもうずっと自分の中では最大のインフルエンスはもうメビウスになる。でもちろん他のアーティストからはもう常に見るたびに刺激と嫉妬をいただくんですけど。
Okay, so when I was 15, I came across the drawing by Mobius, the French comic artist. So at the time I was struggling and I was trying to find my own style or my own voice. I didn't know what I wanted to draw. But when I encountered Mobius's line, I felt like it was just complement of art, illustration, and manga all together. You mix all those three, and that was his line. So his line spoke to me so much. Still this day, I'm proud that my biggest influence is Mobius. But along the way in my career, I'll meet the artists where I get influences and inspiration, but sometimes also a jealousy. But so the biggest influence will be Mobius, and that's how I kind of developed my own style by kind of mimicking him in the beginning. I didn't care because his lines are awesome. Then eventually, I was able to kind of develop my own style as the years went by. So I was telling him, I didn't know you felt jealous about other people's work. And he was like, that's all I feel sometimes.
でも結局自分が描けないものを描く人には常にこうやって戦闘機をやりましたし、それをどう自分の中で翻訳して使えるかってもういやらしいね、もうどうしても呼ばれるし、だからやっぱそれを刺激と呼ぶんじゃないかな。
So there are times when I see other artists creating images or artwork that it's not in me. Those times it really inspires me, and I try to filter that and try to incorporate it into my own work, and I think that's what inspiration is for me sometimes. Maybe.
My question is, if he gets art block, what does he do to get over art block? Are there any habits that he likes to do or like places to go for inspiration to get over art block?
So the question was if when he faces art block, what's his solution to overcome that period? If there's like he does go outside or if there's any activity that he likes to do to get over it?
寺田さん、アートブロック、在宅ブロックみたいなアイデアが忘れないみたいな時に、寺田さんなりに、なんか今までこうしてたら、なんかアイデアが新しく湧いてきて、そのアートブロックを、こっちの壁を越えれるような習慣がもしあったら、それはできないですか？
それはもうおじいちゃんのことですね。
Okay, so my solution is always go back to Ojichan.
Back to what?
でもまあ、なんかやっぱ、それは半分冗談なんですけど、まあ、半分冗談じゃなくて、結局自分が書いてて、なんかその、疲労が修正されていくような、基本に戻れるような、そのモチーフであるとか、線であるとか、そこを自分で持っておくと、なんか困った時にもうそれをひたすら書いていると、ちょっとだけこう、スタートラインに戻っていって、感覚は自分の中にあるので、まあ、そんなにかけ離れたものじゃないと思って、まあ、とにかく、俺の場合は書いた方が、例えばブロックみたいなもの、あんま経験したことはないんですけど、もう書きたくないっていうこの気持ちはもしかしたらそうかなっていうのがあるから、そういう時はもう本当に書きたいものをとにかく書いていくか。
So the last answer, I was like half joking, but I wasn't like, the other half kind of carries the truth. When I go back to drawing the old man, which is my comfort, but I also like drawing that. So when I repeat that character over and over, it kind of brings me back to my starting point or my fundamentals. And by doing that, sometimes I can redirect like where my art is taking, because it's always good to go back to your basics. So by doing that, like even though I barely have these moments, I feel like I'm having an art block. There are days I don't want to draw, so maybe those are my art blocks, but it helps me to have something I feel so comfortable to draw and to bring me back to those basic fundamentals and starting point. That always helps me to go over those hurdles.
Question in yellow?
You talked about one of his influences being Mobius. Are there current artists or are there any current artists that really inspired him?
Okay, so the question is, so the Mobius was his biggest influence, but is there any other artists currently that he gets inspired by?
モービスが最大の影響って言ってるのは分かります。でも今の作家さん、今言ってる作家さんとか、今注目してる作家さんっていうか、インスパイレーションをもらってる作家さんなどいたらシェアしてください。
Does it matter if it's dead or alive?
Oh, but I guess they have to be alive to be alive. Yeah.
Don't mind the question.
今もう私はもう今年で60なんで、前その10代の時の好きな作家だけ追っかけてるみたいな時間はもうちょっともったいないし、その意味がない。だから今自分が作ってきたものをどう研いでいくかみたいなことに全部の時間を使いたいので、だからできるだけその好きな作家を見つけるみたいな作業もしてないし、でもまあインスタグラムとかツイッターとかネットを見ていれば、とにかく誰かがその面で知ってるんで、それを見ながらこの人ができるとか、でもあんまりそこに多くの情報を入れないようにしてますね。細かくなりすぎちゃうし、知らずに真似することができるだけ話して。
So since I'm turning 60 this year, like I don't spend my time looking for like inspirations as much as I did when I was, a teenager. Because right now my focus is in using my, flexible time that, to look for new art to be inspired. I'd rather spend those moments like sharpening my own tool that I developed over years. So that's why like I don't like personally intentionally go out to look for anybody new or anybody current. But like since I'm on Twitter and also I'm on Instagram, so there are times my friends recommend me like new artists, or algorithm will bring up like new artists into your scroll. So even those times I'll look at it, but I don't spend so much time. Because sometimes if I spend so much time looking at somebody's art, like unconsciously, I might mimic them, and I don't want to do that. I'm really focusing on sharpening my tools. So that's how I'm choosing to spend my time at the moment.
と言ったのは全部嘘で、悔しいから教えないだけです。
But that's all a lie. I really have somebody, but I'm keeping it secret. Because I feel, yeah.
How many hours does he draw in a typical week, and has that changed over the years?
Okay, so the question is how much times he spends in 1 week drawing?
In a week, yeah.
Yeah.
And has it changed?
Or has it changed over the year?
1週間にどれぐらい何時間ぐらい書いているんでしょうか。で、それは長年かけて時間は変わっていったものですか。
そうですね。でも仕事を始めたのは、これは10から20歳の頃だったんですけど、仕事をする前よりは明らかにプロになってからの方がその絵を描く時間が長いので、あんまりそこからは変わってないように思います。でも週になってたのかよくわからないかな。寝る時間も長いし。
Okay. So I started my professional career around 19 or 20. So from that point, like I'm drawing way more than I used to. And since then, like it really hasn't changed. Like I don't normally count the hours I spent, so I don't really know what the overall hours are in a week. But at the same time, I sleep well too, so I sleep at least 8 hours a day. So, like, yeah, I don't know.
I've seen him draw all day, pretty much. All day, many days in a row, but for an exhibition, I've seen him put a lot of time in. So.
Well, even when we go to like a lunch together, and he can't finish his food, so he'll get it in a to-go box. Then he'll just pull out his marker, and he'll be like drawing on the to-go box, like he'll be the cash or like something. So like this guy doesn't stop. Like I've seen him like passing out with like Apple Pen in his hand, with like iPad on his lap. Like so, yeah, it's really amazing like to see and how much like how hardworking he is.
Let's see, we'll go with you first. Question.
What is a theme or motif that you would like to explore more that he hasn't already, or hasn't done as often?
Okay, so what are the themes that he likes to explore, and also the themes that he hasn't explored or?
What does he want to explore more that he hasn't?
Oh, okay. So question is like, what are the themes that he hasn't explored that he wants to explore more? Awesome. Thank you.
今までやったことないテーマとかで、その以外のテーマで今なんか探求したいものみたいなのありますか？今まで書いたシリーズにないような新しい。
それはね、多分いつも探してるんですけど、そう簡単には出てきてんじゃないというか、だから、なんか今までも自分は何かすごく新しいものをクリエイトしてやろうと思って作り出してたものはほとんどなくて、ほとんど全然なくて、やっぱり多分皆さんが俺のことを知ってくれてるのは、いわゆるコマーシャルな仕事からだと、漫画だとしかり、ゲームのキャラクターしかり、アニメのキャラクター、そういうものを見て来てくれてると思うんだけど、それらは全部俺の外からやってくる仕事なんで、もともと持ってるコンセプトがないわけです。で、だからそういうものと自分の化学反応みたいなところで仕事をしてたんですけど、やっぱりオリジナルという意味で言うと、まだ全然自分は足跡を残せてないな。今探してるところですよね。
So I'm on like a constant hunt and search for like a new themes to explore. But for me, it doesn't really come easy. And I know that a lot of you know my work because of my commercial work, like the character design, like the game design. But like part of it is like taking those like external concept, but somehow kind of making it into mine. But there's always this balance of commercial and personal. But when I think about creating original work, or original images, I still feel like I haven't made my footprints yet. So I feel like I'm still in this like hungry search for something new, some new images, some new things to explore. So humbling.
Can you describe the relationship between humans and the machinery in your work, and has that evolved or changed over time?
Okay, so the question is, what are the relationship between human and machineries in his work, and if that changed over the years?
寺田さんの作品の中でメカニズムと人間性のが常に一緒に存在してるじゃないですか。その関係性っていうのは一体どういうものなんですか。でその関係性がその今までの仕事の中で変わってきたりとかしているんでしょうか。
例えば自分の子供の頃はものすごく明るい未来を非常に作られて育っているわけです。はい、生まれた頃に、人が月に行ったりとか、すごい人よりも速い新幹線が走るとかね、列車が走るとか、でそういう中で持ってたビジョンがとてもあるし、明るいものばっかりだったんですけど、実際自分が生きてる間ではなかなか劇的に人間の社会が平和になるわけではないなっていうのがあって、そこは諦めてるというよりは現状を受け入れながら将来的にはもっと明るくなっていけばいいなという気はしているんですけど、その中でそのテクノロジーと人間みたいなものはもう切り離せないテーマなんで、どこかでやっぱり自分の姿を描くように、いつもスマホを持っているであるとか、画面を見ている自分と何かとつながっている自分みたいなものがネガティブなイメージじゃなくて、これは他者とつながっているツールであるみたいなところを含めて、いいところも悪いところも含めて、もう切り離せないし、自分の体の中に入ってるし、自分の一部だっていうそういうところがあって、多分それが無意識に消えているのかなと最近自分のように見てるとちょっと思ったりするし、そこにいわゆる動物であるとか植物であるとかそういうものを描くのは、それも絶対にその人間がフィジカルな動物である以上切り離せない世界なので、両方うまくバランスが取れるといいっていうのが割と素直に。
So when I was growing up as a child, like future looked really bright. Like, man landed on the moon. We had this brand new train called the Shinkansen that was supposed to be as fast as a light. But as I got older, that kind of idea of bright future kind of started disappearing. But I try not to take it so negatively. I just try to take it as what it is. So in order to do that, and this existence of human always next to technology, so it's my kind of a way of juxtaposing them honestly, because I am glued to my cell phone sometimes. I spend a lot of time looking at the screen, but even that I try not to take it negatively, and because that's a tool that I can actually connect to strangers across the world. So even though when people think about technology, they might think in a negative terms, I just try to take it as is. And also the reason why I insert animals, plants, and creatures is as living as a human on this planet, they're around us too. So for me, honestly to depict myself and how I feel, that's why all those mechanisms, plants, animals, and humans are all incorporated into my work.
You're welcome.
One way in the back.
Oh. Oh, so the question was, Terada-san likes the coffee a lot, so what's his favorite coffee?
Yes. コーヒー大好きなのは知ってます。大好きなコーヒー、一番好きなコーヒーあったら教えてください。
いやいや、そうですね、京都にいる、僕の友人は焙煎しているコーヒーが有名で、それが好きです。で、味のベースの傾向としては、あんまり酸味の強くない、ビターなやつが好きですよ。
京都のブランドの名前。
イワシコーヒー。
So I have a friend in Kyoto who does his own roasting called Iwashi coffee, so that would be my favorite. But if I can talk about like a preference in taste, I don't like anything too acidic. I like coffee that's a little bit bitter and less acidic.
I think to add too, you didn't mention, he has his own coffees with Iwashi coffee.
Yeah.
Right? There's like 3 different coffees.
Yeah, so it comes with Terada's like a graphic on the bag, and yeah, they're great. Wow, so fast. Okay, 10 minutes. Okay. Yes.
Since now that you like to draw old men, will he start drawing himself in about 50 years?
So the question is, we know he likes drawing old men, so would he draw himself in 10 years?
寺田さん、おじいちゃんの絵が好きなの分かってますけど、自分がおじいちゃんだったらいいのもいますか？
いやいやいやいや、もうおじいちゃんですから。やっぱりその書いてるどこかで自分を書いてる意識はもうすでにあります。
So I consider myself as Ojichan, old man already, and there's always a little bit of a notion in my head that I kind of think I'm drawing myself from time to time. So it kind of already happened. Yes.
How much of his drawings on paper versus on a screen?
Okay, so the question is how much he spent time drawing on the paper versus the screen.
寺田さん、紙とこういうデジタルのスクリーンに書く割合としてはどっちが多かったんですか？
今はコマーシャルワークは全部 iPad のデジタルワークなんで、でも仕事今絵を描いてる半分は、資料用の絵だったりするから多分
Okay, so for me, all the commercial work I do, I use digital format. So in those times, I'll be using iPad or screen computer to do. But half of my work is also exhibiting, like in galleries. So I'll spend those times like drawing on like canvases or paper surfaces. So I would say it's about half and half. Yes.
Which medium do you prefer? Do you prefer drawing on a digital platform or with an old-fashioned paper?
So question is like which medium he prefers, like digital or analog?
寺田さんでその2つの中でこっちの方が好きやなっていうのはあるんでしょうか？
そういやどっちも好き。まあ結局人間はなんか常にこう反対方向に踏んでるからデジタル触ってる時はでの方が楽しいなと思ったりする時もあるし、アナログやってる時はデジタルの方が楽だなと思う時もあるから、まあ割とこうそういう意味では両方あってちょうどバランス取れてるんですけど、一番なんか自分の手に本当は合ってるのは鉛筆かなっていう気はずっと勉強してて、鉛筆そのね、
それはよく紙ペン
ペン。
Okay, so I feel like people in general has this mentality of like the grass is always greener on the other end. So when I'm doing like a digital work, I feel like, oh, I know the paper is gonna feel better when he's working on, when I'm working on the, digital work or paperwork, I'm like, oh, but digital is like way more efficient, like, But lately, I feel like pencil is what I feel most comfortable. So pencil on paper would be my current choice.
Oh, I'm running out of time. Oh, okay.
Other than drawing for a living, what's your favorite thing about your job? What do you wish you could do a little less of?
Okay, so the question is, he makes his living drawing?
Other than drawing,
Oh.
which I assume is the best part of his job.
Wait, sorry, say it again?
Other than drawing,
Okay.
what is the favorite part of his job?
Okay, so other than the drawing, what is a favorite part of his job? ドローインで、生活してるじゃないですか。ドローイン以外で自分の仕事で一番好きなところは何でしょうか？
おお、料理かな。
For me, it will be cooking.
That's right.
割とクッキングと絵をこれの中で近い材料を揃えてるので。
For me, cooking and drawing kind of have a similar kind of approach. Like both needs ingredients to finish, your dish. So those two activities feel very similar to me. Oh yes.
What do you think about AI art and the future of manga?
So the question is like, what do you think about AI and its future?
The future of manga.
Oh, and future of a manga.
Versus human versus AI.
Human versus the AI. So AI についてどう思いますか？その AI が取る今の AI のことを考えると漫画界ってこれからどうなってしまうんでしょうか？
はいはい。もちろん避けては通れないテーマだと思うんですけど、もともとその AI で映画を作るみたいなそのものがネットで最近一気に広がってきてて、自分もなんなら何とか結構試している。でそれはでプロセスを見てるとAI が絵を作るやり方っていうのはもちろんビッグデータからいろんなデータを吸収してそれをラーニングさせて絵を描かせる描かせるっていうか描かせてない、作らせるんですけどでも自分の脳の中に入ると何やってきたかというと生まれてから生きてるまでのいろんなものの影響をどうまとめるかみたいなことを自分なりにやっていて作業としてはあんまり変わらないっていう気がするんです。だから突拍子のないものを生み出したい、だからここに変な形のものをつけよう、そういうやり方っていうのはAI が作ってるようにすごく同じことやってるっていう感覚はある。だからテクノロジー、よく言われる言い方だけどテクノロジー自体は悪くないっていう言い方を取るとテクノロジー自体は AI の生成自体もそんな実は悪いとかいいとかじゃなくてあるテクニックでそこをどう人間が使うかっていうところが一番重要だと思うんであれを作った人がどう儲けたいとかあれを使いたい人がどう儲けたいとかそういうところばっかりだと非常にバランスが悪くなるけどあれを自分のアートの活動にどうやってフィードバックするかみたいなものを今は考えてた方が前向きかなと思いながらあれをただで使っちゃってる会社はね何らかの還元をどうやってしていかなきゃいけないのかっていう還元っていうのはもらったものをどう返すかあれはもう全ての絵のデータや写真のデータもともと売ってないデータを使ってる可能性があるからそれに対してのデータがすごく大きい。だからそこはすごくこれからみんなで議論していかなきゃいけないことだし問題はそっちで人間であって、AI の技術自体を考えるとすごくちょっとエキサイトするところもあるのが正直。
Okay, so AI is like a topic I think I can't avoid discussing nowadays because it's everywhere. In the last few years, in the internet, it just blew up. But I have tried to use it. I messed with it a little bit. AI is a type of thing that gathers so much data from everywhere and tries to create something new. And I feel like the process of me making images is kind of similar from the birth to I'm living right now. I have all this experience and data, and when I'm trying to create something new, it is the same thing, data, going through my data in my head, then trying to come up with new original idea. But people might say technology could be bad, but I feel like AI itself isn't a bad thing. It's how people get to use it. So it's more for
the companies or people who choose to go the AI route. And if they wanna, profit off of it, there's gotta be some kind of like give and take. Because if it's free, but all the data AI is consuming might not be free. Some of images might be copyrighted. So in those instances, there's just a little bit of a struggle and finding the right balance. But like I said, like AI itself, technology, I don't think it's a bad thing. And I think it will be good for us to consider them in a positive manner. Trying to utilize it in a kind of like, moral, like good ethic. So it really depends like who uses it and how they use it. That's my opinion.
Are we on time? Are we here? We're here? Okay, everybody, I think we're done with questions. Sorry about that. If you've got questions or any more, you can come and visit Terada at booth 1729 on the floor. And thank Katsuya Terada, Yoskay Yamamoto. Thank you guys for being here.